Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. Our first story is about a customer who brings in a coupon for a different store to a pharmacy. What could possibly go wrong? But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new here and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Here we go. I know where I went. During the global situation, my work location has remained open along with our pharmacy. Many people have come in over the months a little stir-crazy from being shut in the house for who knows how long, and it proves for some interesting encounters. For today's encounter, it involves a little old lady, Charlotte, the manager, M, and myself, me. We were short-staffed today, the manager, beauty consultant, and myself being the only employees to work the floor. So I was on register duty, ringing like any other day and making sure the customers left with a smile on their face to the best of my abilities. A little old lady comes up with 2 packs of our store brand toilet paper towels that were $6 each or 2 for $10. Ring them up, ask for a store card if she had one, and if she found everything she was looking for all right. She didn't respond. No big deal. Some people just aren't in that great of a mood. I just dropped the chit-chat but remained polite. Towards the end of the transaction, after I tell her the total, she speaks. Charlotte, I have a coupon, rummages through her bag, here, and hands me a slip of receipt paper. A type that we don't print our coupons on because it can't fit the machine. So I take a look at it. In big bold lettering right at the top is a store that is not us. As policy states, we can't take our competitor's coupon, so I hand it back to her. Me. I do apologize, ma'am, but this coupon is for other store. I can't accept it. Spoken with a happy tone and a smile on my face despite the mask that's covering it, she just glares. Charlotte. Yes, you can. Me. I'm sorry, ma'am, I can't. This is store name, not other store. She huffs and proceeds to push the coupon closer to me through her extended arm. Charlotte. Yes, you can. This is other store. I know where I went. Well, clearly you didn't. Charlotte, I want to speak with your manager. Not taking a customer's coupon. How disrespectful. Call the manager. She comes up after a minute and reads the coupon. M. I'm so sorry, ma'am, but we can't accept a coupon that's not for our store. This is for other store, and we are store name. Charlotte, how many times do I have to tell you all I'm at other store? My manager, being the type of person who is very quick to aggravate but hides it decently with people, shifts her hand to point up. Right above us is a sign that has our store name on it, and with the other hand, points to our store's logo that's on the corner of both of our shirts. M. I do apologize, ma'am, but this is store name. The other store you're probably thinking about is about a mile down the road. We won't be able to accept that coupon here. We can use some redemption dollars for you, though. The lady's head was just swiveling around. Finally, seeing the signs for the first time that are all around our store, she huffed, snatched the coupon from the manager, and walked out of the store. I get the confusion. There's 4 drugstores along the same road within a few blocks of each other, but there's no reason to be rude over a small little mistake. How she couldn't see every single sign on the way through and around every corner inside is beyond me. And our second story. If you tell your employees that people who want more money should work somewhere else, don't be surprised when they quit. About 4 years ago, I worked for a company that provided behavior services for people with intellectual and development disabilities. We did individual counseling, parent trainings, data analysis, etc. Think highly specialized mental care and support in home and community settings. Anyway, after 2 years of working there and getting another certification, I asked my boss for a raise. I was newly divorced and raising 3 kids, so I really needed the money. I'd been working 10+ hours a week of overtime to stay afloat. My boss also knew about my situation. My evaluations were great, and I'd been told I'd be moved up to supervisor soon, so my boss had to have known this conversation was coming. This man looked me dead in my eyes and said that he knew I wanted to make more money and my reviews were great, but he wanted to make sure I was loyal to the company mission. He told me he can tell when people are just looking to make more money. And we tell those people to go work somewhere else. He wanted to make sure that the new supervisor would put the company mission and families they support first. He told me that he couldn't offer me a raise at the time, but he would get back to me. No date was set for a follow-up meeting or anything. I started applying for new jobs that day. Within 2 weeks, I'd found a new position making double the salary for only 40 hours of work a week. As it turns out, I was being severely underpaid. Shocker, I know. The day I handed in my notice, my boss and the owner were in a meeting about my new position within the organization. Of course, no one said anything to me about it beforehand. They sent me an offer which I politely declined because it sucked. Then they tried to hire me on as a contractor at a rate that was at least 25% lower than every other contractor rate in the city for my position. So I turned that down too. My boss and the owner were both shocked that I rejected their offers, especially since they were willing to offer me so many perks. They were giving me the opportunity to become a great leader in a great company and believed I was a great clinician who would do so many great things within their organization, etc. I reminded my boss that he's the one who told me to go work somewhere else, and then I stopped responding to their messages. Good for you. Underpaying staff is selfish, greedy, disrespectful, and very telling of how much you value your people. And our last story. My entitled mother demanded I hand over my house to her because my little sister is pregnant and needs it more than me. I, 31-year-old male, have a sister, 28-year-old female, that's honestly been the golden child of my mother but not my father for as long as I can remember. My parents divorced when I was a teenager because my mother cheated with an old high school ex-boyfriend and has always been controlling, manipulative, and narcissistic. And sadly, my sister was like her little mini-me. I went to live with my dad full-time after our parents split, while my sister stayed with mom. My father was very business-oriented and started teaching me how to do his line of work as soon as I was 16. I got pretty good at it. And after 12 years of working for my father, I was made a partner in his company. Things were great. But then about 8 months ago, tragedy struck. My father had become somewhat immunocompromised due to being a heavy smoker for much of his life and died at only 60 years old after he caught C-19. The last time she saw my father, she screamed at him that he owed her more money and they threatened to sue him, to which he just laughed at her. He'd paid alimony and child support as long as he was legally mandated to, and no more than that. Sometime after the funeral, my dad's will was read. Apparently, he'd figured that if his heavy smoking didn't eventually do him in, something else would, and even joked about it in a pre-recorded video. I was pretty much willed nearly all of his assets, from most of his money to the business and home. He left my sister a car, 2015 Nissan Altima, and about $10K in cash. My mother only got $1,000 and a few other items she'd been claiming were rightfully hers since the divorce. Beyond that, I got the rest. And my girlfriend now lives with me in the house my father passed down to me. One evening, I got an unexpected knock at my door, and when I answered, I was unpleasantly greeted by both my mother and sister. They both walked right in without even asking and made themselves comfortable in my living room. My mother finally spoke up and said, "Well, I think it's time you did your brotherly duty." To which I was like, "What?" My mother then proceeded to say, "Now that your father has passed, this house should have gone to me since I was his only spouse, but you can still fix this. You can make plenty of money and could just buy a new house. Your sister needs this one so much more since she's the one with the baby on the way. But if you're so determined on staying, you could just keep the one room and cover all the bills until you decide to move out." I took a deep breath and stated aloud, "That's not effing happening. You don't order me around, especially not in my own GD house. Yes, I make plenty of money, but like Dad, I'm going to save it for when I really need it. Not that you care." My mother started snapping her fingers at me like she used to and loudly stated, "Stop, I am your mother, and you will do as I say because I brought you into this world, and I'm the one in charge here. That means when I say jump, you say how high. This house is rightfully mine, and your sister will live here. Consider this your formal eviction. But since I'm gracious, I'll give you 2 weeks to pack your bags and transfer the deed to me." In the back of my mind, I'm thinking, this can't be real. But then I just grabbed my cell phone and started dialing. My mother quickly stood up and yelled, "What are you doing?" And I retorted, "I'm doing what I should have done as soon as all this crap started. I'm calling the cops to get you out of my effing house." She started swiping at me and managed to knock my phone out of my hands. Then she proceeded to try and stomp on it, but I was quick enough to snatch it up before she could. My sister started to tear up, crying like a baby and said, "Mommy, make him stop." My mother began hugging her and kissing her cheeks while giving me a death glare. Then she seemed to think she'd gotten smart and said, "You know, if you do call the police, I can just tell them that you hit me. And who knows, I could maybe say to everyone you wanted to do a lot worse to a poor pregnant girl in need. I don't think that'd be a very good thing for your—" I cut her off with a raised hand and said, "Just stop. If you haven't noticed, my girlfriend over there has had her phone out recording almost this whole time." If looks could kill, my mother would have blew me up like a tactical nuke. But she quickly deflated and started dragging my crying sister out by the arm. I let out a cackle and told them both from the door to never come back. My mother flipped me the bird and then went back to trying to drag my sister off the porch. It took a few minutes, but she finally got my sister to get up and leave with her by saying, "I am a cruel, heartless bee-turd who will go to hell for this." I laughed some more and said that there's also a special place in hell for liars and narcissists who try to manipulate others to get their way. My mother clenched her fists and was about to say more when I just held up my smartphone again with it recording and said, "The clock is ticking, Mom. Get off my property." My sister and her boyfriend ended up moving in with our mother to save money, but she put them in the basement to keep her Airbnb running. And my sister started crying on social media that she can't live upstairs, and I'm pretty sure the two of them were fighting with each other because all my sister did after that is complain online, and my mother barely posted anything on her SM anymore. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.